Good morning.
Hi,
Good morning.
Morning. So it turns out I'm glad we're remote again. I have COVID again.
What?
oh, I'm sorry. Oh no.
Found COVID. I just had it 2 weeks ago and I have it again.
Well,
It's a rebound?
There's rebound COVID. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it's when your body doesn't clear the virus completely. And I tested negative about 2 weeks ago, but now I'm back to testing positive.
Oh gosh.
How are you feeling?
I feel okay. I feel like I have a sinus infection. It hurts my that's the only thing that hurts. I don't have fever or body aches or anything, just
Okay.
the sinus infection.
I've heard a lot of people get sinus infections after having COVID. That seems to be common.
Interesting.
So it is, you do have a quorum now. It's almost 9. We are, I'm going to put the agenda up on the screen. We do have, I'm in the Lyle Shield or the Shields Carter room at the Brookings Administrative Building, and the room's unlocked and open in case we have any members of the public coming here. They can just sit with me and give input and listen. I did not bring an extra computer today, but there are a few here. So this is required representation to keep us compliant with the Open Meetings Act as revised by the governor's executive order to extend disaster proclamation. So for visitors, people who are not board members or staff, if you wouldn't mind signing into the chat, that's very helpful for us. And I'm ready to mute myself and go, Anne.
All right. Well, I would like to call the meeting to order. Stephanie, can you do a roll call? It'll be quick.
Deb Rush, Georgiana Schuster,
Here.
Kim Fisher, Vicki Nicewander, Vicki,
How about now? Can you hear me? I'm
Yeah.
here.
There you
Okay, good.
Ann Robin,
Here. Okay. So we officially have a quorum, and I would take a motion to approve the agenda, please.
I'll
I
move to approve. That's Vicki.
And I'll second that motion.
All
is
right. We
Georgiana.
can do any discussion of the agenda.
No,
Okay, let's have a roll call, please.
Vicki Nicewander,
yes,
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes.
Ann Robin,
Yes. Okay, well, the next thing is pushing it right forward, citizen input and public participation. And as always, if there is any, we will add that in if we're still in session. And the next item is chairperson's comments. And I just have a couple of comments. First, thanks to those of you who are able to be here and members of the public and stakeholders who are here. It's a difficult time with COVID, and 2 of our members have lost family members in the last couple of months, and I want to recognize them. Georgiana's beautiful daughter, Nora, and Lynn's father, John, and I'm going to get emotional. But we do this work because it's mandated. We're responsible for taxpayers' money. We're responsible for making sure that it's used properly. But the real thing that we're doing is helping to take care of people. And we don't forget that. And these people that we just lost are people that helped a lot with other people. And I just want to recognize them. And that's my comments. Lynn, I don't know if you can go after that.
No, that's great. Thank you, Anne. My comments, I think I have a couple similar comments, just to follow that. We also lost two really important community members who were important to our work. One, just the other morning, Sunday morning, Ms. Cheryl Bouch passed away. She was the director of family service for, Stephanie would remember, it's at least 25 years, right? And
27.
27 years. And before that, she ran a law practice. So, it's interesting. She left a successful law practice to do this work. And I know she did not work, she was not working so much with people with developmental disabilities as she was people with mental health and substance use disorders, but she was a big presence in the mental health DD agency council meetings, often asking really tough questions. And she was usually one of the very first people to get into those application or reports and tell us about problems with the system. So you could count on Cheryl to be like, really classy, pointing out problems. Anyway, I will miss her. And so that was a big loss. And then, as you all know, I'm sure, on December 9th, Senator Scott Bennett passed away suddenly. And I still have this award that I was trying to give him. We had a legislative ceremony on December 1st in Chicago. He couldn't make it because of the veto session. Started this text thread with him. Directly after our conference, I had to go home because my father was in trouble. And so our text thread switched over to, Scott was going to come and meet me in hospice and get the award and say hi to my dad. But on the day we were planning to do that, he passed away. So his work on behalf of people with disabilities is directly helpful to the DD board. He helped push a bill. There were bills in the Senate and the House it's called the Mental Health Validation Act, but it actually validated 377 boards that were established after PTEL went into effect, because the community care for persons with developmental disabilities is an older law. It contains language that was modified by PTEL, which is the Property Tax Limiting Act. Not every community in Illinois has PTEL. Champaign County does. The impact of that law on the language of the statute that establishes 377 boards made the 377 board vulnerable, and our 377 board vulnerable, because we didn't use the PTEL language. So Scott introduced a bill that simply validated all the boards that were established during that period of time, from after PTEL passed until the act was modified to correct the language. That is so important. This fund could be gone. So, we are holding some big losses here, and I appreciate the time to be able to speak about those folks. Otherwise, Happy New Year. I wanted to change the look of the agenda just a little bit so that Kim and Leon and I have a little better control over this Word document. I hope that you like the look of it. Other than that, we're gearing up to look at applications and go through another round of reviews and recommendations, and looking at almost 2,000 bills have been introduced in the Illinois General Assembly. So we'll be paying attention for anything that can help the case for, for paying people who do this work adequately, and then for some protections for people who are living in facilities in Illinois, because that has become a big legislative question too. Like, what can we do to improve the conditions of care here? So anyway, enough said. I'm ready to stop talking. Sorry, y'all.
Lynn, thank you very much for that. Approval of the last board meeting minutes. I'll take a motion, please.
This is Georgiana. I'll move that we approve the minutes of the last board meeting.
And I will second that.
Okay, Stephanie, would you do roll call, please?
Vicky Niswander,
Yes.
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes,
Ann Robin,
Yes. Okay, the next item is the vendor invoice list on pages 7 and 8. And I need a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
And I'll second that motion.
All right. Any discussion about the vendor invoice list? Okay, hearing none, let's have a roll call, please.
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes,
Vicky Nyswander,
Yes.
Ann Robin.
Yes. Okay, new business. The only thing under new business is we get to go to our successes and other agency information a little bit early in our agenda. So I'll open it up for agency participation. And who is going to recognize the agencies? Lynn?
Well, here I'm a little bit behind. I'm trying to put now the full board packet link is in the chat for anyone on the call who doesn't have that. I'm so sorry. Okay. So Becca Obachowski has raised her hand.
Okay.
And so, and Patty Walters is raising her physical hand. So let's go. And Sarah Perry as well. So, okay, we'll start with Becca.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm this Becca Obachowski with Community Choices. I just wanted to talk for just a second. We're really excited that we're actually going to be collaborating with the OT Life Clinic at Parkland College to do a class on like cooking fundamentals. So that's kind of just like the absolute basics of, like how can you hold a knife and use that? And is there any types of like adaptations and maybe additional tools that might be helpful so that you can kind of build some of those cooking skills and kitchen skills. I believe DSC is also participating in that class, so it's a kind of a big collaboration, but we're really excited to be working on that. Stacy Young, who probably is known to many of you here on the board, is helps to, I think, it manages or directs that resource over at Parkland, and that's getting started, I believe, next week. So we've had a lot of interest from our members, and definitely some people who I think could find it really useful. And we always get a lot of interest in cooking things, and it's nice to be able to kind of offer this kind of entry level and help people kind of build those necessary skills. So I let you guys know about that.
Thank you.
All right, I have a Patty Walters.
Thank you. Hey, I'm gonna read a little bit because I kind of jotted down. I wanted to share just kind of some news and a timeline that kind of many of you are aware that there's been a commitment nationally, more so than locally. I mean, more so than statewide, to eliminate sub-minimum wage and redirect energies for that. And I just kind of wanted to share that services have evolved over the years, often ahead of the curve in the state. Much easier said than done. It's been a process, and at least 7 years ago was the last time that anyone was ever admitted into DSC's work program in-house. Despite continued requests for a number of years from families that really did want that service. So there was a shift to not accept anybody new into that program, and then really focus on how to transition people away from in-house work, which was over 150 people. So it's it's easy to kind of start something new, but it's really difficult and takes some thoughtful consideration to shift people away from something that they're really comfortable with and doing it at their own pace, which is unique to each person. So over the years, they've been introduced to a variety of community options and opportunities that include social and recreational and leisure and supported employment and volunteer work and employment services. Expanding experiences leading to new interests, which has been a focus of Community First and Community Day Services and DDB funding. And I think it is really important to recognize that DDB funding is really responsible for not just people that would otherwise be waiting for state funding, but to really give a community focus to some things that the state doesn't fully pay for. And I mean people that are state funded, you know, there's kind of a one size fits all, and what doesn't matter what the staffing pattern is, what the support needs are of the person. Somebody with really high support needs that might need one-on-one support doesn't have the same opportunities and experiences as somebody who does. And so it kind of leveled the playing field for everyone to have those opportunities and help shift that focus. So several years ago, we worked with DDB to really emphasize non-work activities, and testing people's comfort zone with that was really exciting and fun, but also very scary to a lot of people. So introducing change and positive experiences kind of helped everybody want that more. And experiencing new things leads to new interests and work opportunities and volunteer, people getting more comfortable with groups versus, you know, kind of venturing out on their own. And some of those skills carrying over and being generalized into their own personal life. So it wasn't something that they just did while they were with DSC staff, that they could kind of generalize and start experiencing that differently. So the evolution, you know, even though in-house work had a time, had a place, you know, served a purpose. It was very intentional and thoughtful at the time. That same intention and that same thoughtful shift has been kind of in the making for a lot of years. So LEAP, community employment, community first, supported employment, all of those things in tandem help to kind of shape and mold a direction outside the organization, which again has evolved over the years. And we're really excited that as of December 31st, there is no sub-minimum wage for anyone anymore. Something that felt really daunting 10 years ago because of the number of people that we were supporting. By the time this ended was just a handful of people that were like, I'm not going in the community. I'm not going to do anything outside here. This is what I want. And us being really concerned that we might lose some people when we stopped that. There's one very funny story. I wish you knew the gentleman, but he kind of barged into Annette's office last month and said, DSC is closing and I'm mad about it. You know, and he was like, it wasn't that we're closing, but we're changing. And somebody that we really did not think would come anymore once that opportunity didn't exist is now participating in some groups that it's really kind of a fascinating turn of events for a few people that were really kind of the holdouts that were really keeping us from ending that for everyone. So there's some really good stories to come out of that. And then COVID, you know, kind of, it helped it and it kind of delayed it at the same time. You know, people were isolated and not participating in day program. And so coming up with some different opportunities that included virtual sessions and visits with people to wanting to come back to the way things were and that not looking the same anymore. So it really was kind of a blessing and a curse in terms of this transition. So that, you know, it actually kind of has a place in the history here. And then, you know, with the pure intent and purpose of sub-minimum wage serving as a source of pride and income until its very last day. There were people, you know, that earning that paycheck and getting that piece of paper, it didn't matter what the number was, they felt like they were contributing. They felt like they were working, they had spending money, they, you know, they felt like they were contributing and doing what most people do. By earning a paycheck. And so shifting that to other opportunities was hard for some more than others. And seeing those successes kind of one person at a time has been really rewarding, challenging and rewarding. So anyway, you know, from earning a paycheck, going to the bank, having spending money, getting that paper copy, feeling like there was a sense of accomplishment, trying to echo and mirror that in the community. For many people, you know, those first few years, the people that were getting jobs were those that, you know, you expected to get jobs. And then it became about people that in the past might not have ever been considered for employment, and creating those opportunities and being able to do that has been just a nice kind of evolution. And while the journey never ends, we are really happy to be closing this chapter. And, you know, I think there had been, not from this board, but, you know, there had been some criticism and some pressure, and recognizing that everybody kind of advances at their own pace, and being able to facilitate that has been kind of one of the most rewarding things, I think, for a lot of us, but even just in my career. So just wanted to share, and the success stories that follow, kind of demonstrate that. And we appreciate the forum here to share those. So anyway, something we're celebrating, but kind of anticlimactic because there weren't very many people left here in this last, year to finally kind of get that final nudge. So thanks.
Thank you for that description. That was very interesting. And challenging and successful, but those are things that go together. Anybody else want to make share a success, agency information or success?
I think we got two more, Sarah Perry and Laura Bennett.
Okay,
You guys can fight for it.
I'll go, Laura.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to piggyback a little bit on Becca's mention of the OTA Life Clinic. We are in collaboration with the program. It's actually 2 fieldwork students. They're second-year students that will be overseen by the supervising occupational therapist. And they're also providing direct therapy in the clinic. So we can take individuals over and they can receive one-on-one therapy if they're working on a specific skill. The Life Clinic has, a bathroom, washer, dryer, full kitchen, a bed, computer, all kinds of adaptive equipment for eating, feeding, showering, laundry, ways to make visual aids. All that can be done by these students. So it's a pretty exciting partnership, one that I foresee will develop after the cooking group. We've talked about a social skills group and kind of forming some other ideas for groups as well. So I think it's the beginning of a really awesome partnership. And the other thing I want to speak to is the health advocate position that we were provided with funding from DDB for community living program has really made some amazing success with, in particular, one individual that is currently going through chemotherapy and radiation and has multitude of appointments. And our health advocate is able to provide that one-on-one support and really cohesive medical appointments and follow-up and making sure all the information that's provided by the physicians is understood and no missed appointments. With the scheduling, they've had to go to Mattoon, Danville just to get the treatments in. So with that addition to the program, it has been remarkable that we've been able to support this individual. It's actually an individual that we collaborate with Rosecrans on. So it's just been amazing. So I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, and I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I've got 2 things. Hopefully I can be brief. It's been a long segment for us all, but it's good information. One of the things I wanted to celebrate is just how person-centered my staff are. And we work with an individual who is has some pretty significant challenges. And sometimes it's hard to find things to get him involved in and to help to bring out his joy in doing things. One thing we do know about him and his family is that they are big St. Louis Cardinals fans. Don't know how that happened, but they are. And anyway, this past week, he and several of his friends were able to go to the Cards Caravan here in Champaign. And so he really enjoyed it. He got to get autographs from several of the players. He had a big smile on his face. They had some visual presentation, I think, about the upcoming year, and he was enjoying that. And then one of his friends who came along had the audacity to wear a Cubs cap, and several of the players teased him about that. One even tossed it off his head. So I think they all had a really nice time, and I just really appreciated the thought that went into finding something that we really anticipated that he would like, and he truly did. He came back smiling, and he was showing off his autographs. So that was really nice. Another thing I wanted to talk about is just so the talents of several of the individuals we support, and then just the person-centeredness of my staff. And Lynn, is it possible to share the screen while I'm going to read something that my staff, so I think I will.
So you can share the screen, but if you do,
Uh-huh.
please send whatever you share to Stephanie or
Okay.
me so that
Okay.
we can post it as an addendum to the board.
Okay, I'm just gonna show so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And I hope that I can, is that it? Yeah. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna read because my staff member said it better than I can. But she said, I work with an interesting and talented person who is shy and often does not attend on the days she is scheduled. Consequently, it's hard to engage her in meaningful activities. You just never know when she will show up. But knowing that she likes crafts and has an artistic flair, I gave her a take-home sheet of the step-by-step directions for how to make 3D paper star Christmas ornaments. I felt like she would like making them, but I just didn't know if I would be scheduled to work with her group when she was here anytime before Christmas. The next time she came back, she brought with her 2 stars she had made at home, figuring it out on her own from the directions. She was anxious to show them to us. The stars were so beautiful. Not only were they crisp and clean and executed with a high level of craftsmanship, but they were hand decorated. She had taken ordinary copy paper and using fine point markers had drawn a beautiful design all over each one, transforming them into enchanting one-of-a-kind items. Recognizing their quality, we asked if she would like to sell them. She was happy to do that, and both of them were bought. She looked carefully through the packed supply shelves in the art room and found some scraps of higher quality paper sitting around under some other stuff. With it, she made 8 more beautiful hand-decorated stars. She worked carefully and steadily decorating the stars, occasionally engaging in the conversation going on around her as she worked. She now plans to make something for each of the holidays as they come up and build up her inventory. She has been doing independent research on possible projects, and she is enthusiastic about the projects that I have found also. She likes 3D pop-up cards and has a skill level to do it. So pop-up flower cards for Mother's Day is one project she is considering. We've discussed possible local outlets for her works in the CU area, and we plan to approach various shops. The quality of her work is such that she may well be able to get a consignment contract with a local shop to sell them. So I just, these are, some of this is craft paper or scrapbooking paper, but she also hand decorates them. You can see the detail of the work she does. And actually the 2 that were bought were apparently my Christmas gifts, and I have them hanging in my home. They're not here pictured, but they're beautiful. So I just wanted to share this, and I was so impressed with the thought that went into my staff coming up with something specifically for her, since she is someone who has trouble attending, and then what she did and the thought she put into each one of these. So we're looking forward to other works from her.
Wow.
Well, that was wonderful. Well, this has been great. Is there anyone else that wants to share? May from Pace here today? All right. Well, we will.
I am
move on.
here.
Oh, you are
Oh,
here.
yes. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Did you have
I
something to share, May?
Well, I just have some transitional stuff that is not quite ready, but I could share and stuff. And so we were just coming off from the holiday and stuff. So we are gearing back of sending out referrals and stuff. We were affected by COVID during the holiday that we had to close our office because of staff exposure and some staff that are positive with COVID. So we struggled that during December, but we continue to work with consumers that we have actually in the works and stuff that we still continue to support a consumer that is partnering up to have a supportive roommate and stuff. And as a supportive roommate, that takes a little longer because we support them to kind of get to know each other before moving in, so they are continually meeting up and talking to each other, hoping that connection will be strengthened before jumping in and moving into each other. So I did get that update from a consumer that they still continue to talk. The potential PSW is actually not from the area. they're coming from a different state, but they were living here before that they want to move back to the area. So they started talking in Zoom with our support and stuff. And if they have any questions, they would on how the program works, they continue to talk to me, and then the consumer continued to ask me if there's any other information to be shared. So kicking up the January, I got that update that they talked, but they stopped during the holidays. But the conversation is still going, hoping that they will continue to have the conversation and connection until hopefully they'll be able to move in together. But it is a slow process, because I always said to the consumer, don't jump in, because the worst thing that you could have is a roommate that you don't get along with and stuff. So have that conversation, have your the families involved with that decision and stuff, so that in case there's anything that needs to be asked or contract that needs to be taken a step further, they're having that conversation.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else? Okay, well, we have another decision item, and this is under old business, but it's the decision memorandum regarding the Family Resiliency Center's response to the RFP. Everyone has had a chance to look at the RFP and the response. I need a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
Do you want to read? There are two. Let's do
Oh,
them in
sure.
sequence. You want to
Okay,
read the top one?
yeah, I'll read it. Motion to approve the Family Resiliency Center RFP 2022-010 response as proposed, with the caveat that the selection of targeted programs include assurance that agencies chosen for participation will not be overburdened and will benefit from the process, pending similar approval by CCMHB.
Is there a second?
I will second it. That this is Georgiana.
Okay, all right. Open to discussion. Georgiana, you were very involved in this process. Do you have a few comments?
Well, let me think of what I remember us talking about the most. One of the items that was discussed is in this motion here, that we were all concerned that agencies are burdened right now with lots of stuff, and does having participation in any of the Family Resilience and Centers programs, does that overburden an agency? And so that's why this is put into this motion, that we really don't want to overburden the agencies. We want to assist them, help them. We want this to be a good thing. And so that was the impetus for putting that into the motion. And so
Well, I have a comment about that. I read that and I agree with the sentiment. I'm not sure that that's appropriate to put in a decision memorandum. And my question would be, how do we determine whether people are overburdened or benefited? I mean, I think it's a very worthy thought. But if we put it in the decision memorandum, then we are making ourselves, we have a necessity to determine how is that? And we don't have a mechanism for determining whether an agency is overburdened or whether they are helped. I think we have a process where agencies are not required to participate. It's being offered to them. Am I correct on that?
Well, they're required to develop outcomes and report on the outcomes. That's part of the application. So they're
Right.
required to do that, and our perception has been that that's a burden. And so, all we can do about that is, because we can't stop asking, what is the value of this investment? That's a question we need to answer to the public to the best of our ability. So instead, we think of ways to help get that done. So we have seen this as helpful, but this simply asking an agency if it's helpful or a burden that's an option, as opposed to requiring that they take the help that we think is going to be helpful. And I think that's an error that we should look for all over this work. Are we actually helping? So I think, no one's required to take the help. And the best tool that we have is just asking them if they can do it. But I was not on the committee, so I should probably let Georgiana and Kim Bowdry and Leon Bryson are all present. They were all on the committee.
Okay, well, I'm not really objecting to that wording. I'm just saying that, when I read that, I thought, okay, it's a worthy thought, but how are we going to determine that? And do we really need to put that in the resolution, or is it part of the discussion that we continue?
Maybe we need to have an evaluation process for determining overburdening.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, no, you can go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
Well, Kim is raising her hand.
Kim,
Yeah,
would you give us some words of wisdom, please?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if Georgiana wanted to speak anymore before I jump.
No, I don't have any more to say yet.
Okay. Yeah, I think the evaluation review committee's thought on this was that we know agencies are struggling with staffing crisis and everything else. It's all related to COVID and the the reimbursement for state funding, the low pay. And so our thought process on this was, we know that the Family Resiliency Committee, they're kind of their first steps. They're going to be doing outreach. They're going to be doing assessment and surveys of the funded programs to kind of gather what they need. And so we had asked them if during that process, if they can ask agencies, where do you stand? How are you feeling? What would you benefit from in this work? Not that we would necessarily change the scope, but if the Family Resiliency Center had thoughts and ideas and things that they could put into place to help agencies with some of the struggles that they are having, that we just wanted to bring that to the table. So that was the suggestion of the review committee, is that when they are doing this information gathering, that they're gathering that specific information with what agencies are going through and what can Family Resiliency Center do to help with this situation. So, and they are doing, they are creating some like recorded training videos. They're doing some in person, some on Zoom. And so would any of those be offerings that could help with situations such as this? So that was our thought process on how we would figure, or how they would figure that out. And if there is anything that in their expertise, they know how to support, that, we had hoped they would be able to do that.
Okay. Well, it's a worthy thought. I guess that the wording here is targeted programs will include an assurance. So the assurance is really coming from the Family Resiliency Center, that we're asking the Family Resiliency Center, as they take on this work, that they assure that they're communicating with the programs. And I don't know.
And I see what you're hung up on, Anne, and I understand that. And we're hopeful from Family Resilience Center, the FRC, that they are taking this into consideration, that they are sensitive to the burdens that agencies have right now. And that is part of what they're doing, not, it's a big part of what they're doing. But I understand your concern about having that in there.
Well, I think it a little bit weakens the decision memorandum. you know, I was involved with this assistance program from the very beginning, and I had a lot of questions about, you know, the value of it over the last 10 years. But I became convinced that it was helpful for agencies because, you know, they do have to come up with some kind of outcome measure. And that's very difficult for people to do. I mean, we're, as service providers, we're not trained to do, you know, outcome statistics all the time. So, so I think it is basically beneficial to have this assistance.
I just, you know, being new to this committee and the work that you do, I guess my feeling is that it may be the more we can tie this evaluation to improving outcomes for people, you know, is it doing that, or is it taking time away from staff to have to do, you know, the evaluation process? That's kind of the balance that I'm seeing as the, you know, tipping point.
We have some agencies here today that maybe could speak to that, whether or not they feel this is more of a burden than a help.
Well, I'm Brenda from North Illinois. When I did the outcome stuff last year, because the program had been done prior to me, I had real problems with it, you know. But through that struggle, I really enjoyed seeing those outcomes. So I guess, yes, it's a burden. It takes time. We have to go in and we have to do those things. At the same time, especially with staff turnover and people not knowing what they're doing, that's a biggie. We all know that. At the same time, once you understand it, then the outcomes are they're good. You know, you get to see the product of your work. So that's my take on it.
So you're saying overall, it is a burden, but the burden is worth it.
It is now. I didn't think that last spring and summer, you know, when I was we got to get this done. You got to get them in. We had to train everybody. I always feel like I can grow. Right now, we're in the training process because we have a lot of in and out right now. But at the same time, it takes time. It really does. At the same time, I really enjoyed the results.
Well, to also keep in mind, Becca has her hand up too. This is a different project. One of the things that the 7-year project learned was that agencies were suffering more with basic stuff, like needed training in how to use Excel spreadsheets to collect data. So things are changing because of high turnover and just difficulty recruiting people to the field. So this project takes into account some of that. And we also have some experience with this researcher, but Becca has her hand up and has a ton of experience with the project so far.
Yeah, I just in kind of response to you guys, we were, I think, a targeted partner with the previous evaluation team, I believe 3 times over the past 5 or 6 years. And I absolutely appreciate the kind of the concern for overburdening us as agencies and kind of how we do that program evaluation and data collection. I found the experience to be very helpful, though I will say that it did take a lot of our time and kind of attention to be able to make it most useful. I definitely felt like the folks that we were working with were very understanding of that and sort of trying to help meet us where we were at. I think in general, it feels a bit like a balance to me. And I think this most recent time, which I think was probably our most, of all of the times we worked with them, really, really helpful. The woman that we worked with was just really kind of understood the things we were grappling with. I think it is sort of, it's a balance of kind of for us, at least in my experience, sort of what do we have the capacity for as an agency and as a staff to be able to do the work that goes into gathering the data and analyzing the data and reporting on the data. I mean, that is absolutely like a big piece. I think the other thing that we really struggle with, and I don't know the extent to which this new project might address this also, but is anytime you're trying to get outcome data from people have to participate. And there is, I think, some sort of fatigue with people asking them questions about, like, you know, how are you doing? How is your life? I mean, that is something, like, as we've tried to do like better program evaluation and really good information from our members, we're finding more people are like, you just asked me that last year. Which like we really want to be respectful of. Like, we don't, you know, like, asking people really personal information is really personal information. And I think that it's a balance of all of those kind of burdens to be kind of to take into consideration. So I, you know, like, I would be really excited to work with them again to see what their kind of plan is, and also agree, like, you know, like, I'm somebody who loves Excel, and there was definitely things that I was like, oh, if only I knew how to do this, would be really helpful. So I think it's kind of a blend of those kind of like big ideas around evaluation, as well as those just like core skills. So I don't know if that answers your question exactly, but I have found the process overall to be really helpful. And the more time you do have to put into it, the more helpful it has been.
Well, I think
This is Patty. I think that we participated in it twice, and it evolved, just like I'm sure starting something new that you know, there'll be some growing pains with this process. I think the very first time that we went through it, it was kind of on the student's timeline, and it lasted an entire semester. And so, you know, maybe it could have been a little bit more efficient in terms of what the outcome was intended to be. But anytime that you, whether it's new staff or a process like this, I think when you invite new people in, it gives you an opportunity to evaluate why you do something the way you do. And maybe think a little bit differently about it. We are used to having outcomes for all the programs, for the staff, for the individuals that we support. And I think for us, recognizing that as you're gathering more data, that maybe it replaces something and doesn't add to. I think we're really good at gathering data, and we don't always use it functionally, and we don't discontinue using something as we add new things that work or don't work. So I think the outcome could be really positive, whether it's as productive as intended or not. And then the only other thing that I was thinking of is, and I'm not sure if your comments were more about, I think, whether it's measurable, and while kind of wanting to look at whether it overburdens a staff, it's something that you want to know whether it's written into the actual motion or not. It's kind of maybe it's kind of a separate way to measure the benefits of the program. So that's kind of what I was hearing when you were grappling with the language. But anyway, I think that for the most part, there's benefit to participating, but it isn't always glaring at the beginning. You're starting something new. I'm eager to kind of see how they take the project and run with it versus how it's been run in the last few years. And there's been some, you know, some learning and some growing pains from the process. Thank you.
Okay, well, that was all good discussion. I guess I don't object to the wording enough to want to change it, but I kind of sort of do a little bit. I maybe I'm the only one that feels that way. I think we approve the motion to approve the Family Resiliency Center, and then the rest of it is really negotiation and supervision. I don't know if that caveat really needs to be in the decision memorandum, but I guess I don't feel strongly enough about it to want to change it. Other board members want to weigh in? Georgiana, you put that in there, I think.
Well, I brought up the discussion, and I'm not sure that I put that in there, but is, you know, including that assurance that agencies chosen will not be overburdened perhaps could be left out. I mean, it's kind of an unspoken, well, it could be left out as an unspoken idea that we had, not an idea, requirement maybe, that we don't want to overburden our agencies and we need to continually stress that with the FRC. But that again is also adding something to the motion, and maybe we don't want to add anything to the motion.
Who wrote this motion?
I don't know. I don't know.
Lynn, do you know who wrote the
I
decision?
believe Kim wrote this. Also, just to let you guys know, this is the same motion that the Mental Health Board will be entertaining this evening. So and I got feedback only from one of them that they like this, but not necessarily the wording. But first of all, I just want to congratulate everyone on, like, I think we all really get person-centeredness. Like, this is a reflection of that. But anyway, Kim, did you write this motion? No? Who did? This was presented to me from the evaluation committee. So
This was, the discussion was from the evaluation committee. I guess
so I put the words together from what you guys sent me.
yes.
Okay. I thought I was being verbatim what you all sent me and not improvising at all. So sorry if I changed it in any way. I thought I actually cut and pasted your words.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, so I think you did get it the way we had intended.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought you meant the full the full motion that I wrote the full motion. Sorry, confusion. But no, Georgiana, does this match what you
Well, I do remember that talking about overburdening the agencies was an important part of what we did not want to do. But I don't know how to word this any differently.
After hearing this discussion, I think it's pretty clear that we're all on the same page when it comes to that particular issue. And I think open to the idea of taking that into consideration when evaluating, developing this evaluation program with the Resiliency Center. So maybe it's not necessary to have it in the
Maybe
motion
we could
itself.
take everything out that's within those 2 commas, take out with the caveat that the selection of targeted programs include assurance that agencies chosen for participation will not be overburdened and will benefit from the process. Maybe take that all out.
I would feel more comfortable not having that. I just think that's a administrative item, it's a discussion item. It's definitely an extremely important item, but I don't think it belongs in the decision memorandum. Because
well, you mean in the motion?
in
right?
in the motion. I don't think it belongs in the motion.
So
because-
Stephanie, can you guide us through the procedure for doing that, for changing the language?
Yeah, Vicky Nicewander made the motion. So if someone wants to suggest a friendly amendment to the entire motion that she made, which includes that section that you want to remove, someone make a motion to remove that particular section. Vicky and Georgiana both have to agree to it, basically, and then we can vote.
Okay, so who makes the motion? I'm unclear on that. Can I make a motion?
Someone has to make a friendly amendment to the motion. Doesn't matter who does.
I will make a friendly amendment to remove the language that Georgiana. Well, I don't have it in front of me right here at the second. Let me look at it.
The, you can say to remove the language and then just read the motion without that
Got it.
between the
Okay.
comments. So the revised motion is,
Yeah, got it. Okay, so I move to approve the Family Resiliency Center RFP 2022-010 response as proposed, pending similar approval by the CCMHB.
okay, that's the revised motion. Is there
Correct.
a second for the revised motion? Georgiana, are you comfortable with that?
Okay, yes, I am comfortable. I lost connection with you there for a while, but yes, I am comfortable with that.
Well, I want to make sure you're comfortable with that because you did a lot of work on this. And I think your thought process was absolutely correct. I'm just objecting to it being in a motion.
I would agree with that, and so I'm
Okay.
very comfortable with leaving that whole section out.
Okay, so we have the revised motion and it has been seconded. And I think we've had a lot of discussion. That was good discussion. We will continue to have this kind of discussion moving forward, you know, when this process hopefully starts. And that's the kind of feedback we want to get from our agencies.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll be very important. Okay, roll call, please.
Vicky Nicewander,
Yes.
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes.
Ann Robin.
Yes. Okay, we have a second motion. We're
So,
out there. Yeah,
just to clarification, if the mental health board does not make a similar change this evening, in other words, if they want that language in the middle, then I will not have approval to work with this, or like not have approval for this proposal. So we will need to have another meeting on it.
oh, no.
We could do, you do have a joint special meeting scheduled with them on February 15th. So we could keep that meeting, or we could wait until the March meetings to consider if the mental health board does not want to do it the way you've just done it, then we can bring it back.
I don't understand that, Lynn. I don't want to have another meeting. I don't think having a joint meeting on this, I don't know, maybe it would be useful.
I think if they disagree, then we can't move forward, but we could have a special meeting with the two boards together, or I could bring back a different action. There are some things that both boards have to approve. This is an investment by both boards on behalf of agencies that they fund.
Yeah, but Lynn, we've approved, we just voted to approve the proposal. We just got rid of the language that was.
Well, if they don't, but this evening, if they do not agree to remove that caveat, then we'll need to talk again.
I don't understand that. I really don't understand that, but okay.
Well, the same language is in the motion that they're considering this evening. And I can explain this conversation and suggest that they make a different motion and take this language out. And that might work just fine, but if it doesn't, we'll need to follow up.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a lot of discussion for them too. I mean, we had a lot of discussion about this, putting that in there generated a lot of discussion. I just don't think it's appropriate in the motion, but that's my feeling.
Well, I'll let them know. I just used what the committee suggested. That was my obligation. I can share what the DD board has discussed and decided when the mental health board entertains this motion this evening, they can make a different motion too. So hopefully they'll be on the same page that you are. So I mean, they probably will. I'm just telling you that this is both of these motions have to be approved by both boards for us to move forward. So we may revisit this issue in a future meeting.
Okay, so removing that caveat created a big problem, and I apologize
No,
about it.
it didn't, but if there is a problem later tonight, we'll come back to this next month.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought we were finished with this, but maybe we're not. Do any of the board members have feelings about that they would like to come forward with at this time?
I do not. This is Georgiana. I don't. I'd like to let it ride the way it is.
So this is I think this is just, the side effect of not doing this together as a special joint meeting, but the committee was done and we felt it was respectful to the respondent and to the committee to move forward now and not wait for that special joint meeting. So it's just one of the things that happens if you're trying to just both make a decision, but not together in the same room.
Well, and then the other problem is getting a quorum at the special joint meeting, because I'm not sure I've got that on my calendar.
Okay.
So, okay. Well, are we ready to move on? I feel very unsettled about this, Lynn, based on what you said. I really want this to just move forward. I don't want to create a problem just because
Well, it might be fine. I just had to let you know that the mental health board will vote on it tonight, but they're going to have to pull that clause out as well.
Okay. All right, well, let's move on. The next one is, can I make the motion as the chairperson? I move to authorize the executive director to enter into a 24-month contract with the Family Resiliency Center for the support as proposed, with the start date of May 1, 2023 and the end date of April 30, 2025 at the total cost of $253,768 pending similar approval by the CCMHB. And I might make the suggestion that we put the caveat under this motion, that we just move it, because the executive director can direct the Family Resiliency Center that this is a caveat of the contract. Just a suggestion.
Sure, that will complicate the other motion that they entertained tonight too.
Well, it leaves it in, it just puts it in a more appropriate place. But that's okay. I don't want to create more problems. So the motion as I just read it, is there a second?
This is Georgiana. I will second it.
Discussion. Okay, can we have a roll call?
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes.
Vicky Nicewander,
Yes.
Ann Robin.
Yes. Okay, I want to go back because we really don't have a whole lot more on this meeting. We do have one more item that we need to vote on, and that is the revised budget. And I think that can go forward pretty quickly. I just feel like I created a can of worms here for Lynn and the mental health board. And maybe I would like to propose that we go back to the original motion as printed on page 11 in our not to create problems.
I
Because
think
probably
it's
I'm the
okay.
only one that's thinking about that.
I don't know. I think this is a really good discussion and a really healthy angle on it. And if I can do the discussion justice and represent you all correctly this evening, the Mental Health Board might absolutely agree. So I don't think that you need to worry about it, and we can bring it back. We do need to talk about that February 15th meeting. If there's no need for that meeting, we'll take it off the calendar, and then so then we can post an adjusted calendar. And I think that's probably what everyone wants, because we're starting to get into go time now. But we could bring this back in March if there is some kind of problem, and we'll still have time, because we asked for a start date of May 1st for the project. So we could, I think it's fine.
Yeah, also, I don't think you can go back and undo a motion that's
Okay,
just
okay.
done.
All right. Well, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for that advice. Okay, moving forward. The next item is the revised CCDDB, CCMHB budgets. Lynn, would you just make a little comment about why we're doing this? You told me yesterday.
So this is a kind of a long detailed memo, because there are many detailed changes on the mental health board budget. And that is the reason for that is that the DD board just pays a share of the total administrative costs and not with some adjustments, because there are some things the mental health board does that the DD board does not support. But all these little details are related to, during the last year, the county's financial professionals, at least two of them, the chief auditor or chief deputy auditor and the chief deputy of finance at the county, have worked very hard to bring the expense classifications to better align with the government accountability standards, which is in everyone's best interest. And while it represented a lot of shuffling for Chris Wilson and myself, it's for a good reason. So that doesn't result in any direct changes to the DDB budget, which is presented on page 14. It's behind the scenes, so you're not paying any different total, but it's classifications that may be of interest to you. But the really cool thing is this attachment. It's a letter to the county board about additional revenue that they found for you at the end of the year. So this year we're expecting a little bit more the property tax levy revenue for both the DD board and the mental health board. So basically we're asking you to approve an increase in revenue, and then I don't know if the word commensurate is right, but an equal amount of increase to what you can spend on agency allocations this year. So because the DD budget is very simple, that's what you're looking at, but I wanted you to see all the other information as well. So
thank you for that discussion. Okay, I'm open for a motion. I guess I'll just read it. Motion to approve the changes to the attached 2023 CCDDB budget with anticipated revenues and expenditures of $4,889,870.
And I'm going, this is Georgiana, and I will second your motion, Robin.
Okay, any more discussion? I think this was very well presented, and Lynn, thank you for your comments. Stephanie, do you want to do a roll call, please?
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes.
Vicky Nicewander,
Yes.
Ann Robin.
Yes. All right, well, the rest of the agenda, we've got schedules and timelines, no action needed, but the question is whether we will have an extra meeting in February. And we will find that out after tonight.
Is the extra meeting in February just about this this proposal, this RFP, approving it or not approving it?
it is, but you don't have to keep it. And if you all don't want to do it, I can just share that with the mental health board. And And they can keep it for whatever reason or cancel it. You can take this issue up again in March if necessary. I don't think that's going to create any problems with contracting or getting the project going. So if you already know that this time would not really work for you and that, not really a need for further discussion, you could say you want to cancel it, and I'll share that with them this evening. And if there's some compelling reason to put it back, I'll sure let you all know, because I know evening meetings are not everyone's cup of tea.
But not where, but when is this meeting and what is it for in February?
It's February 15 and it's at 5:45. And it's a special joint meeting with the Mental Health Board. I think so far the only purpose for it was discussion of the RFP candidates. But that committee got its work done so fast. So I think we can, if you all want to cancel it, I think I can share that with the Mental Health Board. And they'll probably want to cancel it too, but they could keep it for something else if they want.
Well, just tell them, Lynn, that we'll cancel it if they agree with us. That may be all the initiative they need.
I love it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Vicky.
And then we'll strike it from, it's listed here as well.
Okay,
So we could cut it from both.
all right.
I have a question about this RFP, Lynn. Once we get through tonight's meeting with the Mental Health Board and they approve it, if they do, when is the Family Resilience Center notified that the grant has been approved? When are they notified?
We could tell them right away because these are public meetings. So as soon as it happens, they can know about it.
Okay.
But we can't, typically when we work with the U of I on contracts, their lawyers take a long time to look at our contract template. And my opinion on that has grown to be, well, it's free legal advice for us about our contract templates. So
Yeah.
It can take quite a while to develop a contract, but we also didn't want to start this project till May 1st. So, start the contract and the project then. So I think we could let them know even this evening. The primary respondent has been so quick. Whenever you guys asked her a question, she got back to us right away. So I believe she would be happy to see good news too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, just wondered about that.
Okay, is there any thing under Champaign County Mental Health Board input? We do know that they have a meeting tonight and they are going to be making a decision about this RFP, among other things.
That's the most important thing, and the
Okay.
budget. But they also have a presentation. They start a season of presentations, and this first one is about a project that they don't fund, but that the state funds. So that'll be interesting. And they also have a decision to make about audit delays, because now it's not affecting the DD agencies in quite the same way, but we are still seeing problems with CPA firms not having enough people to get the work done timely. And this is validated for me by the chief deputy auditor, who told me he even gets calls from firms asking if he would help. And he said that another thing we should keep in mind, so I'll tell the Mental Health Board this too, but y'all need to know, if an agency's audit was late last year and they got an extension for the late audit, it's very likely that they're going to be delayed in their audit this year, because the firm can't start anything until the previous audit is finished. They won't even make a commitment until the previous audit is completed. And this has been a problem for some, who get big money from the federal and state government, because they stayed stuck, but the forgiveness stopped. So we still have the CPA firm shortages. So anyway, DD board is very lucky. This problem isn't hitting us quite as hard. So anyway, that's the main stuff the mental health board is doing tonight.
Okay, thanks. And as always, thanks for the staff reports. Are there any board announcements?
Just a comment on the staff reports. I
Yes.
want to thank Kim for attending the workshop on supported decision-making. And I'm very interested in learning more about this, and especially for family members to learn about it down the road, because this is something that, you know, guardianship has become an automatic thing that families do at the end of their child's school career. And I think that this offers a very valuable alternative to that for some people.
Thank you. Very quickly, the same presentation will be given tomorrow at the TPC meeting. I'm sure if you wanted to attend, you could show up. It's at the RCC, SCC. I can't think of what all those letters mean. The Rural Cooperative.
Yeah, I
Rural
know where
Champaign
that is. Sure. Mhm.
Or I believe there is a Zoom option. So if you want, I could try to send you the link. I think it's at 1.
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that forward. Any other comments or announcements? Well, I just want to thank everybody for your forbearance, especially I'm sorry if I threw a monkey wrench in the works there, but I think it was a very valuable discussion, and it does seem like we are on the same page in terms of our philosophy. So hopefully that is helpful. And I want to thank the agencies for their excellent presentations today. And I was glad we had enough time to really do justice to that. So this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good week.